Friends, lock your eyes on January 22nd, 2026, Davos, Switzerland. The real focus of this breakdown isn't the conversation itself, but the hedging path being sought by the $14 trillion empire controlled by Larry Fink. This is a fundamental capital pivot. If you don't understand the logic behind it, you will misjudge the most important wealth reshuffle of this century. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, controls over $14 trillion in global assets. As both a beneficiary of the post-war Bretton Woods system and a rulemaker behind ESG, he represents the traditional financial order built on dollar dominance and linear growth. Across from him sat Elon Musk, a longtime challenger of the Davos consensus and the existing global order. By convention, this should have been old money evaluating a new elite. But the cameras captured a critical detail. Fink was leaning forward. That posture says everything. He was no longer judging, he was listening. This was not an equal interview. It was the gatekeeper of the old world asking the architect of the new one for answers. And this power reversal had nothing to do with Tesla's market cap or SpaceX's monopoly position. It came from a far deeper fear: systemic asset wipeout risk. To understand this, we need to look at the foundation of BlackRock's $14 trillion empire. It was built on stable geopolitics, globalized supply chains, and fossil energy, a linear world where Fink could passively harvest global GDP growth. But standing at the doorstep of 2026, that foundation is collapsing. Geopolitical conflicts are cutting supply chains. De-dollarization is eroding pricing anchors. And most critically, the physical engines of growth, energy and compute, are hitting hard limits. When Musk referenced a faint candle in a dark universe, he was sending a dangerous signal: the stable, predictable world is ending. Without a civilization backup and a physical upgrade, a nuclear war, pandemic, or compute stagnation could erase markets entirely. Fink realized something terrifying: old world money may not buy a ticket to the next era. And Musk's answer wasn't a stock ticker. It was a survival formula based on first principles of physics. In this formula, financial capital gives way to survival capital, defined by three physical variables: unlimited energy access, ubiquitous computing coverage, interplanetary living space.
Right now, global capital markets are making a rare one-way bet, crowding into compute hardware, lithography machines, GPUs, AI model stocks inflated by massive funding rounds. When Sam Altman floated a $7 trillion plan to rebuild the chip supply chain, market euphoria peaked. But in Davos, Musk rejected the compute is everything narrative. Instead, he delivered a cold, physics-based judgment: the market is crowded around a false bottleneck. The real constraint is no longer chips, it's energy access. This isn't a disagreement of opinions. It's a total divergence in valuation logic. Strip away the emotion around AI changing the world, and go back to basic supply and demand. AI compute demand is growing 10x per year, even faster in some cases. That implies explosive electricity demand from data centers. But global grid expansion, the supply side grows at just approximately 5% annually, and in key US regions, it's nearly stalled. An exponential demand curve versus a flat or stagnant supply curve. That gap forms the biggest systemic risk of 2026. An energy shortfall. When this risk surfaces, today's AI valuation models will collapse. Imagine big tech spending tens of billions buying NVIDIA B200 chips, deploying them into new data centers, only to find utilities can't provide sufficient load access. Transformers now take 24 months to deliver. Those expensive chips become stranded assets, not productive cash flow engines, but accelerated depreciation liabilities. This is the first escape route. Musk showed Fink, capital must exit overcrowded compute trades and move into deeper, harder, irreplaceable monopolies, energy generation and storage. In fact, transformers, not power plants, are the true bottleneck. Musk pointed out that AI's constraint has already shifted, from lack of silicon gives lack of electricity gives soon. Lack of voltage conversion. Transformer manufacturing relies on complex copper coils and specialty steel. Capacity cannot scale like software. That's a physical hard limit, and Tesla's real moat. The market still treats Tesla as a car company. That's a massive mispricing in Musk's blueprint. Tesla is a distributed energy infrastructure giant. He showed Fink a physics-based vision. Just 100 miles by 100 miles of high-density solar in Nevada or Utah could theoretically power the entire United States. This isn't sci-fi, it's verified energy density math. In this system, Megapack becomes the oil barrel of the new era, Solar Roof becomes the oil well while big tech panics over AI power bills. Tesla has already closed the solar plus storage loop. This is effectively an infrastructure toll on the AI industry. Anyone running large models will eventually pay Tesla. That's why Fink is rethinking BlackRock's energy exposure. In the coming power scarcity cycle, those who control energy supply will have far more leverage than those who control algorithms.
But can covering Earth with solar panels really support infinite AI growth? No. This is only the first hedge, not the final solution. Musk pointed out two unavoidable physical limits of Earth-based energy: intermittency and atmospheric attenuation. Day-night cycles cap solar output. Batteries help, but drive costs sharply higher. Earth's thick atmosphere filters solar radiation, locking in an upper bound on energy density. Earth may support human civilization, but for exponentially growing silicon intelligence, it's a resource-locked closed system. Push further, and data centers burn water for cooling. Grids restart fossil fuels. Environmental costs explode. So just as Fink thought he'd found salvation in renewables, Musk lifted the lens higher. True infinite energy isn't under your feet. It is above your head. If Earth limits AI, the solution is to de-Earth compute infrastructure. This leads to Musk's most radical prediction. Within 2 to 3 years, space will become the lowest-cost location for AI data centers. Sounds insane until you break it down with first principles. On Earth, AI pays physical taxes: land, power, cooling. In orbit, those marginal costs approach zero. This isn't competition anymore. It's dimensional warfare. Shift your gaze from Silicon Valley's crowded land and strained grids to Musk as real ultimate refuge: low Earth orbit. Here, SpaceX is building a space trinity that Earth-based giants cannot physically replicate. Not sci-fi pure physics arbitrage. First corner: infinite baseload energy on Earth. Solar is crippled by night and weather. In sun-synchronous orbit, those limits vanish. No atmosphere, no clouds, no night. Solar panels run 24/7 at full output. Solar intensity in orbit holds at 1,361 W per square meter, over 5x ground-level efficiency. SpaceX essentially owns a zero marginal cost stellar power plant. No grid negotiations, no nuclear restarts. Just deploy panels and energy flows endlessly. Second corner: thermodynamic cooling dividend for AI clusters. Heat is worse than power. On Earth, cooling consumes approximately 40% of non-IT energy: towers, chillers, water. In space, Musk exploits blackbody radiation. Point heat sinks toward deep space and waste heat radiates away. No compressors, no water, no wear. The cost gap is brutal. Earth: power bills plus cooling plus land plus compliant space. Zero energy cost plus zero cooling cost plus zero land rent. At 1% of Earth is operating cost, this isn't business competition, it's annihilation.
Third corner: Starship logistics dominance, but launching servers is insanely expensive, right? That used to be the deadlock of space commercialization. That's why Starship exists. It's not a Mars ship, it's a space freight truck. Full reusability drops orbital transport from tens of thousands per kilogram to $200 per kilogram, maybe even $10 per kilogram. At $100 per pound, space transport beats FedEx overnight shipping. Once shipping isn't the bottleneck, Musk uses industrial logic, not aerospace logic. No lightweight exotic materials, just massive, standardized data center containers, even stainless steel, launched in bulk. This completes SpaceX's infrastructure monopoly: energy, exclusive access to orbital solar cooling, free cosmic heat sink, transport, the only cheap Earth orbit pipeline. For Google, Microsoft, Amazon, this is a brutal moment. To go to space, they'd have to buy launches from their competitor. It's like Amazon starting logistics, only to realize Musk owns all trucks and toll roads. After closing the physical loop, Musk showed Fink, the digital layer connecting everything. Starlink. Most people still see Starlink as rural internet. That's a massive underestimate. With V3 satellites, each node becomes an orbital edge compute unit. Autonomous driving data, robot vision, processed directly in orbit via laser links, not sent back to Earth. Two unbeatable advantages. Lower physical latency, light moves approximately 40% faster in vacuum than in fiber. Regulatory arbitrage on data sovereignty, no undersea cables. No national routing nodes. A geopolitical neutral data haven. Even with infinite energy and compute, human economics still hits a final biological constraint. In Davos, Musk struck the deepest fear of Fink and central bankers alike. Population collapse. BlackRock's pension empire relies on pay-as-you-go systems, young workers funding retirees. But fertility rates across developed economies are below replacement. Aging isn't just social, it's inflationary. Labor shortages drive wage spirals that rate hikes can't fix. This is a labor prisoner's dilemma. Unless labor scarcity is broken, AI profits get eaten by human costs. Musk's solution is radical. Industrialized labor supply. That's the real business of Optimist, not a gadget synthetic labor. GDP equals labor times productivity. For 200 years, tech boosted productivity, but labor stayed biologically capped. Optimist turns labor from a biological resource into a mass-produced industrial product. When Optimist costs $10,000 and works 20 hours a day, labor shifts from OPEX to CAPEX. With enough energy and compute, GDP breaks free from population limits. Billions of Optimus units push growth into an exponential infinite economy. Tesla's valuation logic flips, not a car maker, a labor monopoly. The final loop closes. Mars, not a billionaire bunker, but the ultimate testbed for the infinite economy. Earth is a zero-sum game. Mars is pure incremental growth. Energy, communication, labor, the tech stack forged on Earth becomes the protocol for a new civilization. The truth of Davos is now clear. Fink's silence signaled financial capital yielding to physical capital. For ordinary investors, understanding this shift is how you survive cycles. 3 core strategies emerge. 1. Short labor-intensive assets. Industries dependent on cheap human labor face permanent margin compression. 2. Go long physics assets, control of real resources, power grids, copper, lithium is the only value anchor in a fiat world. 3. Bet on full-stack tech empires if the infinite economy thesis holds. Only one empire connects energy, compute, and manufacturing end-to-end, Musk's. This isn't just an investment, it's a choice between staying in the old world with inflation or entering the new world with growth. Davos lights will fade, but this battle over civilization's economic foundation is just beginning. As $14 trillion quietly reallocates, I hope we've already read the most important prospectus of this century. I'm Ultra Bull Macro. Follow me, let's cut through capital fog and see the brutal logic beneath the world. See you next time.